Welcome in on a Friday here. It is a Feedback Friday. I'm Mike Schaefer, joined by Jack Mitchell. This is the Unemployed with Mike Schaefer podcast. Jack, how are we doing?
I'm fine. It's Friday. Let's go.
It's Friday. Let's go indeed. Let's just go right into to this basketball game that'll happen here on Sunday. Lots of ramifications for a variety of different reasons. You have the super mega bye, which is to say to get skip the first 3 rounds of the Big Ten tournament, and you would play on Friday night, potentially Friday during the day. So that's a possibility as well. You have the NCAA tournament seeding, I guess, which it kind of feels like they're just sort of going to be a 3. I guess we'll see. I mean, if they lose the next 2 games, maybe that changes things. I don't know. I think people just seem very comfortable putting them in at a 3, and that seems sort of where they're at now. Location wise, there's a difference between being like the second number 3 team and the 4th number 3 team, so that could play a factor in all of this as well. It's senior night, and so lots of emotions in the arena, as it'll be the last game for Rink Mast, Sam Hoiberg, Jamarcus Lawrence, Kendall Blue. I don't know if there's any other seniors that
I know. I keep thinking there's
mentioned
more, but I don't think. Well, Asian would have been one. So
sure, and it sure seems like he's going to be coming back off of a waiver next year. So.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then beyond that, and maybe this is the single biggest thing, nobody needs to hear "Let's Go Hawk" in that building on Sunday. Like, I cannot really state enough the importance to me that, like, you can list all of these factors, and all of these are things that, you know, sort of matter, or I have talked about in the past, or whatever it is. I do not want to hear that chant any more than I have to, and I certainly do not want to hear it on Sunday.
I would agree.
I just like, I don't know. There's just something about how these things, you know, it's a running joke right now with Nebraska is going to take on Texas A&M in every postseason competition. And right now it feels like every one of Nebraska's seasons in anything just seems to come down to, oh, there's Iowa at the end of the year. You play this game against Iowa. It's Black Friday in football. It's the last 2 seasons in basketball. They were at home for Iowa, and they just need this one win that's going to push them off the bubble. And they'll be in the NCAA tournament, and Iowa's got nothing to play for. And then, boom, the Sanfords hit 77 three-pointers on you, which, you know, was a beacon of promise that we didn't realize at that time as to what Price was going to do in this building. So I don't need it. I don't need to hear from the Iowa contingent. I am very interested how many even get through the door on Saturday. I expect a very heavy Nebraska crowd, with it being the final home game and sort of the great season. And then just the overwhelming desire. Nebraska lost that game to UCLA, and I feel like it sort of didn't matter in the sense that if they turn around and beat Iowa and put it on Iowa, this week would be considered maybe one of the best of the season.
Yeah.
Even with a 20-point loss to UCLA.
It does feel like they could really erase that UCLA game, not only from a emotional standpoint where the joy of the Iowa win drowns out the disappointment of that UCLA loss, but I think you make up almost everything that you could have lost in terms of the things you talked about at the beginning, for certainly conference tournament seeding, probably location. You know, you're probably in Oklahoma City if you win. Maybe a difference is you'd be a 3 instead of a 2. I suppose there's a chance you could have been a 2 had you won that both games. But I mean, yeah, it kind of does it in multiple ways. And when you set it up that way in terms of the stakes, because think of the 2 different worlds combining everything that you just explained and what they feel like for Nebraska. Now, granted, all of them are still going to the NCAA tournament. All of them are still a top 5 seed. All of them we would have given an arm for. Some of us would have going into this season. So you always have to have that caveat. But imagine the difference between going to Oklahoma City first of all, going to Chicago as a 2 seed and potentially getting a rematch with UCLA in your first game, which seems like the best possible opponent right now, given what just happened. I mean, if the thought is it's hard to do what they did to Nebraska twice on a Friday night, and then probably going off to Oklahoma City as a 3 seed, all on the high of beating Iowa on senior night, and Nebraska fans having their moment to get out years of frustration with losing to Iowa in multiple sports, which is what it is at this point. Iowa's got Nebraska's number, compared to the loss scenario where you continue this reign of misery Iowa's had on Nebraska in football and in basketball over a number of years, forever. It seems like it's uncanny how well Iowa's done against Nebraska in everything. And then in addition to that, you're very likely playing on Thursday instead of Friday in the NCAA or in the Big Ten tournament, as you mentioned. And you're going to, I don't know, Buffalo or Tampa or Greenville or San Diego. I don't even know. 3, maybe a 4 seed, depending on how you do in the tournament. I mean, those are 2 very different worlds, aren't they? Holy cow, when you put it that way.
It's like the difference between a 2 and a 3 seed to me is just pretty much like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't really matter. If Nebraska is a 3 or if they're a 2, if they're, my preference, obviously, they play at Oklahoma City or somewhere like that instead of Greenville or wherever it's more difficult to get to. That, like, the idea of Nebraska falling to a 4 would sort of illustrate kind of the way that it felt like the season has kind of unfolded since the 20-0 start. Like, they would be 5-6 in their last 11 games. They would have went from, conversations about a 1 seed and winning the Big Ten to 5th in the conference and 4th on the NCAA tournament line. You would have some real questions about, whether it's a 4-13 matchup or if they played a 5 in the second round. Like, it just doesn't feel like there's a run coming. It's hard to explain, just a sheer illustration of being in the bottom part of the bracket, bottom part of your quadrant of the bracket, or just being in that top quadrant. And even though it's a difference of a 1 seed line, it just feels like it's big. And some of this is, and I've talked about it, some of it is vibes based. Like, I thought the USC game had set Nebraska up pretty well with the way that they had played that. And then they played their worst game of the season against UCLA. It's easy for me to flush it because I don't expect their defense to be like that again. I don't expect their offense to struggle in the way that it did. I understand they're playing an Iowa team that kind of took it to them. But I also sort of like Nebraska with a little bit of a, chip on their shoulder in this situation, so to speak. Just like if they win this, you get UCLA again. I like that. I think that it sort of favors them a little bit. If they played Purdue again in a meaningful game, I would love that matchup right now. So there's an element of this where it could work out that Nebraska could see the Iowa and then UCLA, and that speaks to me in terms of I still want them to win the Big Ten tournament. Like, I still very much want that. I don't know that it's going to happen with the way that they're playing right now, but I very much want it. And so there just feels like there's a lot both in the game, outside of the game, contextually around this game, and then you just drop in the sheer fact it's Iowa at Pinnacle Bank Arena on senior night, the last home game for so many of these guys. Like, that building is just going to be on fire before the opening tip. Now it's up to the basketball team to sort of keep this going. So it's we'll see how that all goes. I mean, it's clearly a big game. We did not mention Jared Garcia, also a senior.
Okay, there we go. I knew there were more.
Oogie would be a senior, but it seems like
he's like a season.
Yeah. So and frankly, we'll have plenty of time after the season to dissect what happens here. I don't know that I expect either of those guys to be back at Nebraska.
I don't expect Oogie to.
Right.
But Season said he wanted to. So, but I don't know. Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see what sort of the roster and everything kind of looks like, or what role
That's
he's
true.
willing to take, and
Yeah.
all of that. So that's all coming down the line. But let's start with this. So the primary three seniors we're going to spend our time on are Mast, Hoiberg, and Lawrence, and so we'll just take our time kind of with all of these guys. And we'll just go through it. We can go through it alphabetically. We'll just start with the guy who's going to have the biggest ovation out of all of them on Sunday. The guy who's sort of come to, if Bryce Sanford is the player that, it seems like he should be sort of the face of this team, because he does the scoring and he's the 3-point shooting, and he just represents Fred Hoiberg in a very unique way. Sam Hoiberg is a representation of how Nebraska basketball is even at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are the fifth-year player that has spent all 5 years building to this breakout point where it's not just aesthetically pleasing offense or smart play. It's just hounding the other opponent with great decisions defensively, jumping passes. I keep wanting to see him pick the pocket of someone who turns back to their bench to get the timeout call. I predicted it was going to happen in Big Ten play. He's got one game to do it here against Iowa.
What a great game to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. If it leads to a layup right before half, he just picks the pocket of Bennett Sturtz, goes in for the layup a la Steve Blake against Duke way back in the day. That would be a wonderful way to go into halftime. But Sam Hoiberg very much is the face of this team. I think he's the most popular player on this team. There's a lot of reasons for that. He's a local guy, and he's the coach's son, and we've had the most time with him. I mean, you've gotten to see him go from guy inserted against Maryland very early in his career, drawing that huge charge, to a absolutely irreplaceable player on the best version of this team we've seen in a long time. I mean, it is a awesome, awesome story. And we were kind of talking about this on Happer and Schaefer, and so I'm curious, Jack, do you have is there like a singular moment for you with Sam Hoiberg that stands out over anything else?
Yeah, actually.
And why is it the Lincoln Pius Class B? No, they were Class A.
No, it's the COVID state tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think it was that same game you were just referencing, but it was that Maryland game. If I'm thinking of the same one as you, he had on an inbounds play that Maryland had. I don't remember what the score was. If Maryland, it was tied, or Maryland was behind one, or if Nebraska was behind one, but Sam basically under 30 seconds had essentially a pick six of just jumped the pass completely, picked it off, went in for an open layup. They win the game. And that was when he was just building up minutes. I think it was when there was an injury to Emmanuel Bandamel that he started getting rotated in a little bit more. So I don't know if this was that season. I should know better off the top of my head which season it was, but it probably was. I think it probably was that season.
2023 season.
Yeah, it was that season. And like everything was so depressing at the end of that season. When you had those injuries that had hurt Nebraska so much with Bandamel and like all of a sudden between him and Casey finally starting to get it going at that point there, I don't know, that I feel like that little stretch, including that game, was where there were some sparks of hope about sort of like the system a little bit. As I recall, it worked better than I thought it would when they were down players. And that ended up being something that was a little bit of a trend for them. So for me, like that's a really an early one. There's probably a bunch of them from this year that I could pick, but that was originally who he was just, he came in with this crazy ability to get his hand, it sounds funny, to get his hand on balls. Like, like for Nebraska for sure. I don't know. And I know Cookie Belch had a lot of steals, but those felt different. It's just his ability to get his hand on the ball when people are dribbling or seeing passes before they happen. That was what he came in with. And that was pretty much most of what he came in with at that point. He wasn't, he was not particularly interested and able to score. He was not shooting a whole lot. And that's what he was at that point. But as I've talked about, it's almost like you've built this modular player with him by every half a season adding a new skill on top of what he already has. And he's continued to do it this year. And that's why it's almost like, I completely agree with you. If Nebraska goes on a run in the tournament, the same way Keisei Tominaga would have been sort of like the obsession of the tournament, he will become it for Nebraska. I don't know if he'll be the obsession of the whole tournament, but he'll be the guy that players are, or that the commentators are talking about, just because the story's so interesting and it's compelling.
And it's the coach's kid, and he's like the guy that
there's no doubt. Yeah.
How many times have we heard the opposing coach just talk about how like they'd love to have a Sam Hoiberg on their team? I mean, I think you can see all the different ways that he can affect a game of basketball on both ends of the court. He's really turned himself into being an effective offensive player when I thought that was going to be the biggest limitation of his career.
Yep.
It wasn't so much the size. It's that, okay, if he dribbles by a guy and he gets into the paint, he can't do anything. And all of a sudden this year, he's turned into this acrobatic, can finish around the rim by ducking up and under or, narrowly avoiding their block attempts or whatever else. And he's just shown so much ability to get the most out of that athleticism that he has and to be able to finish in that regard. And he's still maintained being a good enough shooter to where you're like, hey, I mean, do we want him shooting more? Like, I know he's sort of a heavy, efficient guy, but there's that argument that,
I wonder sometimes
you kind of like, hey, let's see a little bit more from him. And so that's the thing with Sam Hoiberg is you're right. I mean, each year is like, okay. And I went back and I looked at the box score of that Maryland game, and he had 9 points. He did it on like a 3 for 5 shooting day. He had 1 3-pointer, which I remember being pretty critical, corner 3-pointer. He had 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and he ended up playing 37 minutes in that game, like off the bench, So he was definitely that kind of felt like his announcement of, okay, this is a guy he's gonna help you, but what are you realistically hoping to get? What is he realistically going to be? And he's turned into being the heartbeat of this team, and it is really, really, really fun to watch. So you have Sam, who was here for 5 years and finishes as one of those rare players that, someone can grow up and watch on a team and absolutely fall in love because they get to see their entire career. Jamarcus is close to that in that he played 2 years at Nebraska, the second year of which they were a tournament team. He's kind of one of those guys that has never been in his time at Nebraska the best player on the team, but he's always had, you want to talk about somebody that's had moments. Jamarcus Lawrence has come up for Nebraska different times throughout his career. He had a big game against Iowa as a freshman at one point in his career, and it helped Nebraska have the opportunity to play for a winning record in that same season where Hoiberg emerged. He had the big game in Iowa City on their senior day when they were a tournament team in 22-23. I'm looking that up real quickly. And then, of course, he's had these game-winning shots where he just comes up really big. Yeah, he went 5 from 8 for 3 and scored 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in that game against Iowa.
That was like Nebraska's only win against Iowa for a lot of years.
Yeah, 81-77 win on the 23rd, or not the 23rd, but on the 5th of March with the 2023. And so that was in that stretch where they basically were great in all of February. They had that loss to Michigan State where he was, again, good in that game, 7 of 10, scored 15 points. I mean, Jamarcus, as a freshman, there was a lot of enthusiasm. And then he kind of got lost in the year where Nebraska goes to the NCAA tournament. And, he wasn't Keisei, he wasn't Mast, he wasn't Williams, he wasn't Gary. And he goes off to Rhode Island, realizes that's not what he wants either. He comes back, and I just remember thinking like, oh, this is great. Like, you got this veteran guard presence. And for much of the first half of the year, or certainly a big part of that 20-game win streak, and then the first half against Michigan, it's like we got the best version of Jamarcus Lawrence you could ever have asked for. And if that guy still exists and they can find him in the rest of their games, their ceiling goes up when he plays the way that he can. He can create for himself in a way that other guys can't. I still think he can do more by getting into the lane and dropping some of those floaters. I want to see him try to take Iowa off the dribble a little more, but to do that, he has to be a better ball handler than he's been the last couple of weeks. And so this isn't to go negative on his senior day, but it's to say there's a player in there that we know exists, that if you can get that version of him, the 27 points against Indiana, the 20-point first half against Michigan, the game-winning shots against Ohio State and Illinois, Jamarcus Lawrence has been a dude at times for Nebraska this year. I feel like the biggest difference of their 20-0 start and they're currently, what are they, 5 cents is sort of the play of Jamarcus Lawrence in that time.
Yeah.
So he's critical to this whole thing. And I hope it comes together and he has a memorable senior day.
Yeah. He's coming into this game off of, I mean, I haven't gone back and checked it, but you could argue he's not had a worse 3-game stretch in his life than these last 3 games. He was, I looked it up during, I think last time we did a Nebraska ball hour or something right after the UCLA game with Josh. That's when I looked it up. He's like 1 for 5, 1 for 6, and 1 for 7 in the last 3 games. And a lot of turnovers to boot. And
8 of them.
It's and you almost have to remind yourself that of what you said at the beginning, that he's been a big scorer a few times this year and back to his freshman year, even going all the way, or his early years at Nebraska as well. He can get red hot, and not having that, you're absolutely right. And whatever's been going on with him, for sure. If you can get some of that or all of that back, I think that changes pretty significantly who Nebraska is pretty quickly. Oddly, I think that about a few players, which is,
he's not even the only one on this list, we're going to talk about that shortly.
So like, I think, and it's him as a whole though. Yeah. It's so interesting when you go over that whole story, because it just always felt like Jamarcus Lawrence, that year they went to the NCAA tournament. I remember he had a big game against Indiana. At that game, they won at Assembly Hall when they frustrated Khalil Ware, and Jamarcus Lawrence Jamarcus Lawrence always has big games against Indiana, so I wouldn't mind if Nebraska saw Indiana in the Big Ten tournament somehow. But I remember they interviewed him after the game, and the dude acted like, I mean, he seemed like he just didn't even want to. He didn't want to talk. Like I mean, I think he's probably a fairly reserved person anyway. I mean, I think you can kind of tell he's not a loud guy by any means, but it just felt like sometimes on that team, I even felt this way with Bryce Williams, like Keisei Tominaga. I don't know. Like he was a little, I'm not saying they didn't get along, but their styles didn't really jibe to some degree.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that played into his not that Casey was going to be there the next year, but that's why I was so disappointed that Jamarcus left at the time.
I suspect it had to do with the fact that the bulk of that money was set aside for Juwan, Bryce, and Mast, and he wasn't part of that group.
That's probably true. That's probably more.
I mean, if I had to guess, it's basically like, hey, we've got this for these guys.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll try to get you what we can.
Yeah.
And I have little doubt that if they had Jamarcus, maybe last year goes a little bit different for him, instead of the tag team of Ulis and Wooster. But that's how it went. And he came back, and we saw again that he can be a really good player. It is interesting. Was it the Northwestern game where he sort of first started to struggle, and then he had the ankle injury against Penn State.
The ankle injury,
and, so he's been sick. So he's kind of dealt with some stuff on this side of it. But again, it's just one of these things. Like everybody has to deal with something. Everybody's a little bit banged up. And Jamarcus has played a lot of basketball, and so I'm just hoping that he can kind of work his way through whatever this is for him to be able to contribute because he's been such an important piece. And so it's the same that we're about to say about this next guy who I think is playing a little bit better, but it doesn't feel like it's touching the area of play that has been there at times this season for Rink Mast. I just, there's the obvious question about what his knee is able to do at this point in the season with all the minutes and all the time and all the jumping and all of it. And then there's other times where it doesn't look like he's even bothered at all. It's just, he just doesn't have that explosiveness that you kind of need sometimes to just get the ball out and off the backboard and into the basket. Like it's just a little bit, he's like a tick too slow for where you sort of want things. Now, that's inside. When he's going and he can shoot, that's his whole value. When you can open things up with his passing, that's his value. I think the thing about Rink Mast that's been underrated in his entire time at Nebraska, his defense is good. Like he has allowed you to not have to, between him and Berke, I think Nebraska sneaky has a pretty good, front court defense, but they don't have rim protectors. So it's not like a visibly loud front court defense. But nobody has really just gone in and done anything to them defensively from that standpoint, from just like a big, just going and getting all of it. Now, the rebounding, all of that can be part of the discussion too, but there's a lot into Rink Mast's game. I continue to hope that he has a moment in him. If he wants to have that Ohio State game from a couple years ago against this Iowa team, torch the Nets with like 7 3-pointers, I think we would all sign on the bottom line on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing I want this to end well for, just how we think of Jamarcus and Rice and Rink Mast so much. I think Sam's place is kind of set, but with those two guys at the tail end of their career right now, arguably playing as, in as rough of patches they've ever been in their career for both of them. Like it stinks. Holy cow. And like, I don't want that to be, because you said that Ohio State game and it's like, geez, I forgot that. I like that game. He was insane. It's too bad for whatever reason we're not seeing him at the I hope it's still there, but we're not seeing him at the top of his game. And this year we saw it too, I think, especially in the non-conference in a few of the games, just really good inside, outside passing. Man, when he was at his best this year, there were times I said it over and over again in November and December. I was like, he is a matchup nightmare. And we don't say any, like, it stinks. You're just not saying anything like that right now. And it's kind of amazing that Nebraska continues to win like they do. Not win like they do. They're 500 in their last 10, as you pointed out, but that they're in this position that they are to some degree with. So, we could mention another player too that just hasn't played up to where he usually is. But Rink and Jamarcus, out of this three, they're kind of having the roughest patch of their career right now.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you kind of hope that, it's in there for them to play a little bit better. It doesn't have to stay exactly like this. And part of why Nebraska has been successful is that as they have somewhat hit the skids, Price Sanford has been unbelievable. And so
that's true.
You've got, the way this team is built is when Rink carried you early in the season in the non-con, he was outstanding. When Price Sanford carried you in critical Big Ten games at times this year, he's been outstanding. When everybody but Sam Hoiberg couldn't throw it into the ocean against Minnesota, Hoiberg scores 14 points, keeps you close, and then you dominate in the second half. Jamarcus Lawrence's game against Indiana saved a loss there. He pulled him out of the, pulled that one out. So there's
Rink Mast against Rutgers, even you could say, yeah.
So there's just this element to where this team, the way that it's built, these guys all have these sort of these kind of moments where they can come and go. And what you hope is that if it can fire together, they're a very dangerous out. Because the one thing that happened against UCLA that we had not seen all year, Nebraska's defense finally had a stinker. Like they finally had a game where they just weren't good. And they didn't really do much of anything that they wanted to do against UCLA. And I don't think that'll be a problem. I think they're going to come back. Iowa shot like 33% at Iowa City. I would expect it to be, around that margin again. They're not a great offensive team. Sturtz is going to be a high volume player for them. I think Nebraska did a great job of keeping them from scoring in the paint last time they played. I would look for Nebraska's defense to play well again, and I think that sort of helped elevate their chances certainly on Sunday.
I know the narrative for Nebraska is always going to be like, well, they just hit a wall, right? They hit a wall. They got going against better teams. But, man, the more we talk about it, Mike, the more sure I am that while I don't know that they can hit it, that there is a ceiling that's a lot higher still for this team than where they're playing right now, largely because of what we just said about Jamarcus Lawrence and Rink Mast. Like, if you get one or both of them, in consecutive games being closer to what their best is, which you have not had for quite some time, even though you had kind of those rescue efforts that you mentioned. They've got, like, you just haven't seen it from both of them since I don't know when. I mean, maybe the second half of the Purdue game, you could say, perhaps you had it. But before that, I don't know. You got to go back a ways. You got to go back quite a ways.
And the third name that you kind of hinted at, and we haven't really had to talk about because he's nowhere near a senior, but Braden Frager. I mean, if you get him playing it, and I thought, again, I thought he had a great game against USC. I think he's sort of shown that there's a lot more to his game than just sort of scoring. He's done a great job rebounding in recent weeks. I think his defense is better than he kind of gets credit for, in large part because he's long. We're going to see him on Bennett Sturtz again on Sunday, I'm sure. And so, Frager is one of those guys that he's super valuable. I mean, if you were like, hey, who are the two biggest X factors for Nebraska against Iowa? It starts with Rink Mast, and if they can get some easy baskets inside to take the pressure off of hitting threes constantly against a team that's not very big inside, they do a nice job, but they're not. Like, this is a team that they could score points on in the
Mast needs to do it again this game. He can't do what he did last game.
And then the other one is, if Frager, and he looked healthier out in California than he has anywhere in the last month.
Agreed.
If he is that, and he can take Iowa's other non-Bennett Sturtz defenders off the dribble and get into the lane, he can go collect a bunch of free throw attempts and convert those to points. And so I think he's a really critical player for Sunday's game, and Mast is a critical player. And then, of course, you got everybody else. I mean, Sam's going to do what he does. Sanford hopefully does what he does. Jamarcus plays a little bit better with ball control. And I think Nebraska's got a great opportunity to come out with a win. So overall, I mean, it's going to be a really fun day. Do you have tickets for this one? Are you going?
I do. I'm going to go.
All right.
Yep.
Look at that.
I know
it's a big game if you can get Jack Mitchell.
We're doing Josh and I are doing a pregame at noon, so I'm not going to be able to get done early enough for the 5-hour early requirement to get into the end zone. So that'll be an entire season without ever going inside the end zone, which hurts me deeply.
I have a 3-year-old's birthday party that I'm going to before this game, which just takes me back to before No Sit Sunday. I celebrated my niece's first birthday that day before meeting you in the rail yard.
Before meeting me for the first time.
Yeah.
So you're going to a birthday party, but you are going to the game or not?
Yep, going to a birthday party, and then the game is after that. And so I think Hudson's going to be at this game. It's going to be his first Nebraska-Iowa experience.
Oh, wow.
That kid is a very good luck charm as it relates to Nebraska basketball.
Bring him.
So if he can bring that to Sunday as well, we'll absolutely take it.
Yeah, man. Boy, I'm just nervous. I need this game to start. This is going to be a long 48 hours, man.
What's your Saturday look like to get you through? What's your
it's weird. There's usually a basketball game on Saturday, and so I've been doing multiple I-80 Club show. Well, Josh and I have been doing our regular one and then our premium one for subscribers, which if you ever want to be a part of that, we'll do that. We're just going to do the subscriber one tomorrow because we're going to do a special pregame coffee on Sunday. So I only have 1 hour of I-80 Club, which is bizarre. I don't know, Mike. I haven't had a Saturday with no game and not multiple hours of shows. I don't know. Maybe I should start a home project or something. I need something to pass the time tomorrow, which there will be other games on. That'll be good. I hate that we're on a Friday night with no Big Ten games on. It's a drug to me on weeknights, which is I can't believe I'm saying that, but Man,
I mean, last night was just settling in for Iowa and Michigan for no
Yep.
reason other than I could, and
Yeah,
was rewarded with a very entertaining game.
it is crazy how differently I look at the sport of college basketball now that I have a team that I'm toward the top. It has
Right.
changed my interest in the sport completely, and maybe that's obvious, but like here I am last night at 11:30 laying in bed listening to Field of 68's late show. Talking not even about Nebraska, and I love it. I can't. I am intaking it like I intake college football for the first time in my life. Not saying I like it as much as college football, but I'm taking the sport in. We've talked about this before. More like I do college football, where I have I have a deeper interest in games that are not my own teams, and I'm starting to watch, seek out media about college basketball generally. It's weird.
For me, it's more akin to baseball and to into the NFL. We'll see what college football is
that's
like
probably true
in my new life. But like those sports, I read up everything, watch everything, interested in everything. Like I've watched way more basketball with random top 25 teams, both for the effect of what it means for Nebraska and their tournament seeding, but also it's just like part of me just kind of wants to see what Kentucky looks like when they play Tennessee right now.
Yeah. I watched almost all of Duke, Michigan. I would have never watched that game. Yeah. Granted, it's a great matchup, but that's a great matchup for a college basketball fan, not for a fan that's cheering according to his team's best wishes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's do blind rankings. This one I'm going to have to sort of explain. It might not make sense, but you'll get there when you start hearing what you need to rank. What you are ranking today is your desired level, 1 being most desired, 5 being, it's fine if it happens, of these potential outcomes based on things that could happen for Nebraska over the next month. So, obviously, 1 through 5, you don't know what comes
next. Are they
next.
all basketball?
These are all basketball.
Okay.
Nothing else but basketball.
Okay.
I'm ready. All right. Nebraska achieves and there's no seed attached to this, so they could be 2, 3, or 4, a super mega bye for the Big Ten tournament.
That'd be good, but I don't know. I'd say 4 probably.
Okay.
I think that's 4 for me because that would be nice, but that is not in the have to have category. It is not worth celebrating on its own. I don't think it's not a complete disaster. The other thing about it that would have had to happen to make that happen would be more of the disaster, I think. So on its own, I'm tempted to put it 5, but I'll say 4.
Okay. Next one for you. Nebraska plays at your, as in Jack Mitchell's, preferred tournament location.
There's definitely got to be better ones than this, but that's pretty high. I will say, man, I'm gonna feel like a jerk if I put it at 2. If I
these are your rankings. You do it like your preferred tournament.
I know, but in the end, I really want their success more than I want that. But right now, it's hard not to focus on that. I'll say, but I'm not guaranteed they win, so I'll say 3.
Okay. Nebraska, unlike how people feel online right now with some of the predictions that are being made, Nebraska cleans up with a bunch of conference postseason awards. Fred Hoiberg, Coach of the Year. Sam Hoiberg, Defensive Player of the Year. Braden Frager, Sixth Man of the Year. All of these things.
That's 5. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice, but
yeah.
I mean, Hoiberg's been Coach of the Year before.
When I put that in, I knew where that was going to go.
Yeah, I'm glad I put the other one at 4. That's definitely.
You have 1 and 2 left.
I know.
Yeah, we'll see how you feel about this. All right, this next one is basically over the next however many games Nebraska plays. I would assure you that the Huskers win a game with a walk off the court buzzer beater. Absolutely memorable moment. Now, it is worth noting that could be Sunday against Iowa. It It could be in the Big Ten tournament against UCLA on a Friday night. It could be Jack Mitchell at any point.
It could be in the national championship.
It could be any of those games. It is a guaranteed win, a moment in time, and a buzzer beater picked by any player you choose to have hit the shot.
Man.
And you don't know what comes next.
I mean, the only thing I would want more than that is a guaranteed actual win in the NCAA tournament or wins in the NCAA tournament. I don't know if you're going to give me that. So I will put this because I at least get a win with this. So I'm going to put this 1 based on how I think you're going to do this.
Okay. I think you're going to be okay with this. You're going to be okay with this. So your last one, it goes in at number 2, and I think you will have felt like you have a perfect list here. Nebraska beats Iowa by 35 points on Sunday.
Ooh! I mean, I would rather have that than the buzzer beater against Iowa.
But you don't know if it's going to be.
But I don't know
Iowa.
if it's against Iowa. Well, I mean,
but if it's a 35-point win,
it's due. Man, I wish you would have given me a door A, door B situation right there. Well, I'm putting it 2. I don't have any other spots to put.
Yeah, you got no other
that
spots,
would be. I mean, Mike, I really want that. I don't want a fun game. I mean, I don't want a exciting game. I want to see.
You want a thorough ass kick.
I want to see Justin Bolus go for 13 in this game.
I like it. No, that's that would be quite fun. All right, so to recap, you went with the March moment at number 1, a guaranteed buzzer beater, but you don't know which game it's going to be over however many games they play. Number 2, Nebraska beats Iowa by 35 points on their home court on senior night. Number 3, preferred tournament location, which for you, I believe, is Oklahoma City.
Yep.
Number 4, super mega buy, one of the top 4 seeds for the Big Ten tournament.
Yep.
Number 5, postseason awards. I think this is the right list.
I think I've got that like 3 out of 4 weeks. To be honest, I'm pretty good at this game.
Well, I'll just have to work to trip you up more, I guess, is what I'm hearing here.
That sounds
so fun. That's really what the people want, is for you to be angry at yourself.
Dave Hoppin, number 4.
Never
forget.
Just not getting you to that point, I guess. All right. Unless you have, we'll see if there's any comments somewhere. Let's see if there's anything people want us to get into here today. Does not look like it at this point in time. As always, and I haven't done a good job of putting these banners up, but you can always email the show or tweet or whatever you want to do, and we'd be happy to include your comments, questions, feedbacks, all of that stuff. All right, well, we'll just get into it. It gives us plenty of time in case this runs very long. What are the 3 things that have annoyed Jack Mitchell this week?
Okay. Well, let me see. We're going to pull my notes up here. I did do some notes here on this one. Okay. So the first one is sort of only quasi sports related. It's about watching sports, but it's not about what you think. It's not about what you think. It's not about the broadcast or the announcers or the lack of replays, which
was it our live stream that I prematurely ended?
Yes,
the other
that's
day?
It. That you canceled, that you stopped our live stream and the hundreds of people watching it. My brother-in-law was watching it and you canceled in Ames, Iowa, and he was watching it and you canceled it and he didn't know how to get back to it. So he just went to bed.
Oh, no.
But anyway, no, it's okay. It's okay. Mine has to do with using various apps to watch sports. Usually, primarily the ESPN app. We use the Fox Sports app for the UCLA game a little bit. As a Royals fan, I've used their various proprietary Bally's apps and those sorts of things. I don't know why, but there is no service in the world. You could have a crypto wallet, double, triple protected, anything you want. There is nothing that is more concerned about someone else logging into your account. There's no one more interested in that than sports broadcasting apps. I have to log in newly go to espn.com/activate. I activated it. When
This
you
is such a
activate
good
something, you don't have to activate it 87 times. This is no joke whatsoever. I can log into my own. It would be so much easier to get into my bank. Like
That's
my
exactly what I was
account,
thinking. Yeah.
than ESPN or what Bally used to be, or pick whatever it is. Big Ten Plus. It's all the sports ones. And every time you're like, please stay logged in this time. Please. And the ESPN one is the worst. You switch between games. What do they think? Someone came in and killed you and turned on another game? I've never seen anything like it. You've got to re-authenticate.
Even then, you've already paid for it, so why shouldn't that killer be allowed to watch another game?
Do you think I unsubscribed from YouTube TV during the second half of Virginia Wake Forest? I mean, come on. What is the deal with the constant logging in on those things? I don't have any other service that's like that. YouTube TV, never. And if you do, it's super easy. It's just click your Google. Spotify, I don't know, pick whatever service you have. I guarantee it's easier to get into every time than ESPN, Fox Sports, Big Ten Network Plus, Bally's or whatever that was. That was another one. I'm probably forgetting some.
No, there's nothing more annoying than
is.
You're trying to quickly get a game up on your whatever app or whatever you're trying to watch, and then you're just hit with the login screen.
And then you only have your phone.
Re-authentication or whatever. Yes. You got to have your phone.
Go.foxsports.com. And then you start to put in the URL and it automatically fills in something else. And then you've got to type in, or you're on your Roku and you got to type in your email address with the remote. And it's like, why? Yep.
Well, and then
no other account.
I'm the one that has all this information. So then if Shelby goes to try to watch something and this happens to her, I'm just getting like a barrage of text if I'm not at home, wherever I'm at, to try to solve this over the phone, because, she may not remember the password or the login name or which email it's under, or she might go to the wrong app instead of the correct one, whatever it is. And it's just doubly annoying because undoubtedly I had used the same app the day before and it was logged in, Yeah. So yeah, that's a terrific call out by you here today. The bank thing, it's so true. I think about that all the time. It's like, should not be that easy to get into my bank relative to how difficult it would be to watch, my Apple TV.
It's like every other service has kind of gotten with the times and giving you, like, for instance, they'll give you a code on an authenticator that you can look up on your phone, or it will use like a pass key, or it will do something. And it's never just even about putting a password in. It's you got to go to a stupid website and do it. Anyway, Number 2.
All right.
Number 2. I don't know. I might rub some people the wrong way with this one, but I think I'm ready to lay down a rule. If you're not in my contact list on my phone, please don't call me. Don't make a phone call to me. I won't answer it. I'm done. I'm done answering phone calls that do not have a picture of the person that comes up when I call them. If you're a office, I think you could save your time, save my time by not calling me to confirm an appointment that we've already confirmed 20 times. If you call me in person for that, like, if that's not done electronically, I am baffled that you would take the time to do that. I understand it's unreasonable, but if I get a phone call from a number that I don't know, even when it is from someone I know who it is, phone calls just annoy me in general now.
Yeah, that seems to be
it makes me so annoyed.
I apologize to you preemptively when I called you the other day, but I knew that.
Have I done this one already?
Well, no, you said that you don't like to get phone calls from people when a text would
when I start a text conversation and the response is a phone call. That one's mainly my wife, but every time I hit send, and then you can just count on it. There's the phone ringing. There's the phone. As soon as I'm like, ugh. Just text. But this is a slightly different take. This is essentially, you have no business calling me if you don't know me well enough to have a contact in my phone. I only want about 8 people in the world calling me ever anymore. With the other ways that we have to communicate now, it's no longer necessary. Phones are almost done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't have any of the vitriol for phone calls you do. Now I do have a shared dislike of like the random phone calls, but it's because ever since we went to sell our house and then buy a new house, my phone number has appeared. I think it's from either the credit check or whatever it was. My phone number is on a new like listserv of like call centers, and I get probably 8 calls a day, from potential spam. My phone attempts to block it now, but it doesn't. I still get so many of these. And then when I used to be in the job that I was before, where I would talk with people all the time with phone
you had
numbers
to
I
answer.
didn't save, it put me in a really, really tough spot. And so, now I just pretty much similar to you. If I don't have the number or if I'm not expecting a specific call at a specific time, I'm just not answering it. And it can go to voicemail. And then the text will pop up as a voicemail comes in. And
what a delight that is.
It tries to tell me what the message is, but it has dialect issues. And,
I mean, I appreciate that
it gets to the general point, but
it's for me.
When it's wrong, it is very confusing to try to decipher. I spend more time looking at the text than it would take to listen to the voicemail, I think.
Yeah. And I thought of this just for the show because I got a call. I've got an eye exam, just a regular eye exam coming up. Okay. They've sent me text to confirm it, an email, and now they're calling me. And I think I confirmed it, but I don't know. But I mean, at some point, can we just gamble and see if I show up? I think, whatever happened to adventure and optometry?
We've gotten a little needy with stuff here. It's like, and don't even get me started on we need you to show up 30 minutes before your appointment to fill out paperwork.
Yes. And by the way, it should be online. Make it online.
Even if it is, like, how much paperwork is really necessary at this
point?
Do
you need to see my insurance card? You should have 80,000 copies of it back there because I've given it to you every time I've come in for years. So, why? It's the same. It's the same. Nothing changed. It's not in my case.
What are the medical records of my great grandma? I'm not sure. She was living in the 1800s.
Questions, right.
Like, I don't know what to tell you about what life was like in Neely, Nebraska in 1894, but here we are.
Yeah. And also you get questions about things that you can't imagine matters. It's like, you go to the dentist or you use hard drugs. I mean, I suppose that does matter in some ways, but I'm like, I feel like this is more invasive than needs to be for a teeth cleaning.
I am constantly putting meth on my teeth. That's what's going wrong with my enamel.
Yeah. And then number 3. Another thing I did right before the show today, I came up with all these in 10 minutes. I thought about them and then I came up with new ones 10 minutes before the show. So it is, what is it outside right now? It is warm in Lincoln right now. Something's a brewing. It's almost 70 degrees right now and it's humid. And so I just walked my dog before the show and I got in my house. I'm like, it's freaking
shout out Reggie.
Shout out Reggie. And I was like, it's hot in here. Okay. And you know what I did, Mike? I did what any person should do who has decided to go down the indoor climate control route. I turned on my air conditioning. I should not be shamed for doing that, but I will be. It is so bizarre. The thermostat shamers. It is just, this is the piece of luxury I want in my life. When it's hot, I want to turn on the air. But the amount of people that are just sort of condescending about that when you talk about it, I leave mine on 78 all summer. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, well then, but you drive a Lexus. Like, where are you? I don't get it. I don't shame you for the thing you choose to live luxuriously on. But there's something about the thermostat people. There's something about that. They kind of make you feel bad for using the tool. Do you also, I don't know, when you take a shower, do you also take a shower on cold? You just to be a little uncomfortable and save money on hot water? I will never get it, and it drives me nuts. I think the inventor of the air conditioning system and the heating systems, right? That the guy who wears the overalls in those commercials, I assume he was the one.
Yes.
He would want you to use your thermostat. He would want you to make it. This is what he did all that work for. He didn't put it in only for emergencies. Okay. And by the way, I make it up in the winter. Okay. I like to sleep. Now, I actually like this. I like to sleep when it's like 67. It helps me sleep better. But when it's hot, I'm going to turn the air on no matter what the month is, no matter how high it is over 73 degrees in my house, or 72, sometimes 71, but I will always turn it on. And that is okay. That's all right. That's what it's there for. I'm not going to shame you for your luxuries, which are probably way more exorbitant than that. So don't shame me for mine.
What do you set the temperature at?
Usually 72, but if I'm feeling I want to be especially comfortable, I'll go 71.
I think we
in the
set
summer.
ours. Yeah, I think ours in the summer is like 68.
Yeah, hell yeah.
69.
Look at that.
So
I like that. I like that
I'm
about
not-
your family. See, you
I'm
got to have
not,
more people react like I did. Give that away. Get comfortable as hell. That's why they put it in.
We invariably, like, I don't know, I assume this is what happens to every married person, is that the other person they live with just has no ability to regulate their body temperature, or is, you know, someone who always runs hot or always runs cold, the
usually
opposite of what you are.
yeah.
I like, in any given 5-minute period, Shelby could be too hot or too cold in the same room with having no change to the external temperature. And there's literally nothing I can do.
Yes.
And I actually am someone who used to run, like, I was always hot. I would always like need to be wearing shorts or need the air on, or, you know, grew up with a ceiling fan in my bedroom, and the idea of not having that on every night as I went to sleep at the fastest level, to the point that my parents thought that their son was going to die in his bed because it was going to come careening off of the ceiling and slice my head open or something. But that's how I wanted it. But I've also just sort of adjusted, I think, more as I've gotten older. But I also just, if I can choose, I want it to be cold. I want to be cold. That is always my preference.
Me too.
Every single
indoors.
time, you know.
Indoors, yes.
Right, yeah, because I can always just like,
outside.
I'll just go throw a hooded sweatshirt on.
Yes. It's very rare that and by the way, I'm not shaming people who use their heaters, just to be clear, but I'm just saying that, like, I make up for it on the other side if you're worried about my finances or whatever it is. But the amount of people who will say with pride, and it's not, look, I get it if it's an actual money issue. For some people, it certainly is. But I'm not talking about those people. You know who I'm talking about here. They're driving a nice car. They got a sweet flat screen TV. They got every other luxury, but they're like, nope, 78 in my house all summer long. Gross. No one wants to come to your house and watch your flat screen. It's so freaking hot in there.
Yeah, we save 78 for when you visit your parents. That's when you get 78.
There's a
somehow,
generation that especially
somehow my mom is able to pull off, like, you know, 78 year round is the temperature in her house.
I don't know. It's so bizarre how it happens. Like, it almost feels like the presence of a generation warms the house year round. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's just incredible, though.
It's odd.
There will never be any shaming from me to you on however you choose to.
I think I'm going to go up. I'm going to turn it to 70. I'm going to turn it up to 70.
Go for it.
It's like buying a little corner of a flat screen TV for me.
That little monitor.
It's buying a little square inch of a flat screen TV right there.
Hey,
I got it, and I'm going to enjoy it more than I would that inch of a flat screen TV.
How far are we away from the like smart control centers that you utilize for this? They'll just have television screens in them so you can watch the basketball game while you're setting your heating and your air.
That would be nice.
You know, it just becomes a total.
I can just stand there and monitor it 24 hours a day. Well, I mean, I got it on my phone now, so I don't really need to go up to the thermostat, which is all.
That is such an amazing thing to just be able to control it.
Laying in bed. Oh, man. So, again.
But even like when you're not home, the whole thing of like, oh, I'm not home, so I have it set at 78 or whatever, but I know I'm going to be home in like an hour, so I can cool it down to where I want to be, that when I walk in, I get the best of both worlds.
Or yes, Absolutely. And you can set it at 78 when you're on vacation and pretend you're like that haughty person that always wonders what your thermostat's on. Well, I set it on 78 while I was gone. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometime we need to do a show where we should do a show because that's up there. Most of the talk about technology these days is sort of impending and doom, and maybe that is well placed, but we should really just talk sometime about technology that really is just it's made life great because it exists. That's among them.
Okay.
Being able to adjust your thermostat, and I would add in close your garage door remotely. Oh, baby, the amount
it is
that
phenomenal.
Let's just call it like we just need to do a show. It's just like life-changing technology. Like step back and have some perspective. If
Pretty much all of it is, I can do this from not having to get up.
That's true, and that's fine. That's fair. That's fine. But like, if you went back and told yourself,
I got to look like this
by not walking to close your garage.
Yep. All those calories, I was trim and fit, and then I got a mic cue.
I don't know. I think we need to, have the technology that we would be most impressed by if we told ourselves 10 or 20 or 30 years ago that it existed. That we could.
I mean, it's not I know we're not having this full conversation right now, and it's been out there for over a decade, but I will never not be appreciative that anywhere at any time, if my team is playing and it is televised, I have the ability to watch it on my phone.
Yes.
That is without question. The amount of times throughout first of all, the ability that I can just watch Cleveland baseball whenever I want would have been the most unbelievable thing to me in 2004, 2005.
Oh my gosh.
And, and now it's just like, that's just a normal thing. But like just this idea that if I'm over, if I legitimately had to go to a birthday party during the basketball game, first of all, I probably wouldn't. But let's say that I had to. I had to be at something during this basketball game. I would easily find ways to be able to watch that game, and then I have the added bonus. This is one of the technologies that's a benefit for me and people like me. But with the hearing loss, I can send the sound of anything to my hearing aids at any time.
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't have to bother anyone around me that I have this basketball game going on. I could sit in church and just watch basketball or football pregame shows.
I figured hearing aids had that now. I didn't know for sure, but that's amazing.
Yeah. It's like just having AirPods at all times. The downside
that aren't seen, right? That you, you can see it, but people don't think you're listening to something.
They don't, right. Now, it does get me into problems because my wife or other people will attempt to talk to me when I'm listening to something.
Man, where was that in like 1991 when the Big 8 tournament was on during math class? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No,
I took a Walkman, and I'm serious. I took a Walkman, put it in my pocket, wired it up through a long sleeve shirt, and I took the padded part of headphones off, like one of those small ones, taped it to my hand, sat in class like this. Early 90s.
I used to, for the games that happened during the day for March Madness before I was done with school, I basically had a good enough relationship with my teachers that they would let me go sit in the computer lab, and then I would game, sort of like refresh game score, watch these games on my computer.
Yeah.
In 2000, not mine, on a school computer in 2002,
which was
just
awesome.
So I could know what was going on in the game. Occasionally, you get the teacher that's like, "Oh yeah, we'll just put that on." We can get CBS. We'll just put that on.
Do you remember the first year they did the March Madness on demand thing, and you had to go
to
the waiting room? That was the fact that you could do that was so game changing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I remember how excited I was when I learned about push notifications for the score of a baseball game.
Yeah.
I
find those so annoying.
I was like, you would just get every time they score, it'll send you a message on your phone. This is great.
I don't want them anymore.
No.
MLB.com killed my interest in push notifications almost single-handedly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they managed to find a way to turn, even if you told them you didn't want it, they could still find a way to give you some sort of Yankees-related push notification that you had no interest in.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yes.
And it just so infuriating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. I'll be thinking
nevertheless,
about this then.
All right, everybody, that was another week of shows for us here at Unemployed. on the I-80 Club. And Jack, do we have any new community partners?
Let's see. Well, I don't know when I shared them we have Fleet Feet. We had
Yep.
Fleet Feet. That was the last one.
Yep.
But we've added Lincoln Symphony Orchestra. We've added Visit Lincoln.
Are we still adding? Like, if there's people that want to be partners, I can still reach out to them. Or
I think we probably better set a deadline here. Maybe in the next few days, though. I don't know. I don't have a hard deadline set, but if you know of anybody who's interested, there's still time for the moment, but there's not a ton. So, and same if people want to be the on the road crew and get the sweatshirt, you can do that. I think we'll have that open all the way up to the tournament. But yeah, so sense. But Husker Power Products. We had a good meeting with Husker Power Products. We got to meet Husker Power Products, who the people behind it, Joe and his family.
They're powering us
in Hastings
on the Nebraska Road Show.
They're powering all of my crop irrigation systems, or they would if I had them,
hypothetically.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So shout out Husker Power Products. Thanks to all our community partners.
Very, very big thank you.
We're going to the tournament. Not Philadelphia, please.
Yeah, hey,
not
we'll know everything we need to know basically Sunday. If they take care of business there, I think it really cuts down to like 2 locations at that point. And so we'll have a better understanding of everything.
I got kind of excited.
What's your prediction?
I think
for Sunday. I don't.
Oh, I think they're going to beat Iowa. Yeah, I think they're going to beat Iowa. I think they beat Iowa by double digits. I don't know about the 35. That might be asking a bit.
That would be fun.
But I do think they'll beat Iowa especially after Iowa came close last night. And man, they had their chances last night. Holy cow. But
those plays by Gale, like that block shot, and then the force the ball off of the leg, like on the defensive plays, those were really nice. Begrudgingly was like, oh man, that is one of those games where it's like I didn't want anybody to win.
No,
but I definitely didn't want Iowa to win.
Correct.
Told me everything that I needed to know about who I actually wanted to win that game.
It is going to be so weird that Nebraska loss to Michigan may age as the best performance of the season, given how it all went down. Yep. And I will never not what if that call on Hoiberg would have went the other way. Yeah. It's going to be, man.
That could have been one of the highlight moments of his career had they not, determined that was a blocking foul when he's more set than about every other defender that gets awarded a charge any other time.
There's been some rough ones in the last couple Nebraska games.
Just, it's just Big Ten officiating. Like I was going back through some tweets the other day, and it's like, oh yeah, I haven't dropped the Ralph from The Simpsons, Ralph Wiggum, as the head of Big Ten officiating.
Maybe you'll get to on Sunday.
I don't want to.
Me neither. I want a comfortable party. That's all right. Comfortable 71 degrees party.
Well, it sounds like you're going to get some Saturday morning coffee. I don't know. Are you guys doing your secret insiders show?
We're just doing the premium show on Saturday morning. There's a little bit of a change because we're going to move coffee to Sunday. So
going forward or just Saturday?
No, just this week because we want to do a pregame on the day of the Iowa game. Kind of get the feel, get in the big game day moods because that's usually what coffee is. So we're going to do that Sunday at noon. So it's going to be more like brunch. But tomorrow, the I-80 Live, the premium show, or if you're a Patreon or want to become a Patreon, Josh and I will do that. And that'll be at 9:00 the same time coffee is. So a little bit of a different schedule this week. And then Caleb and I will be on afterwards. And who knows that my bourbon's upstairs that I haven't busted out since the Illinois game. I don't think so.
Ooh,
the celebratory Nebraska ball bourbon. So,
all right.
It'd be nice if I can fill this up with it.
We look forward to seeing what sort of mood Jack Mitchell is in.
It'll be a strong one.
One way.
It'll be a strong one.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend ahead. Unemployed will be back on Monday with Caleb Henry, and no shortage of things to talk about. So be sure to check out everything we've got going on at the I-80 Club over the weekend, and I will catch you on Monday.
Bye.